5 weeks pregnant. On my birthday, my husband, to amuse Annie, his childhood sweetheart, pulled my chair out from under me, publicly humiliated me. Annie, his childhood sweetheart, broke into a smile through her tears. I endured excruciating pain in my abdomen and hurled the entire table of food onto his and Annie's faces. Yet he turned around and accused me. "It's your birthday. Why do you have to ruin the mood like this?" He told me to apologize to Annie. As David said this, he gripped my wrist tightly, as if he wouldn't let me leave the room/house until I apologized. The people around us consoled a tearful, wronged Annie, while simultaneously reprimanding me. "That's right, Sarah. Annie's in a bad mood. And everyone was just joking around to cheer her up. It's your birthday, do you really need to be so serious about it?" Furious and in pain, I fought back the tears threatening to spill. I grabbed a nearby chair and hurled it towards the group. The chair slammed onto the dining table, and Annie, by chance, was splashed in the face by a plate of hot food, letting out a shriek. David immediately rushed over, concerned, to check on her, then glared at me, furious. "Sarah, everyone was just celebrating your birthday. It was just a joke. What's wrong with you?" I retorted angrily. "I was just joking too. Why are you all complaining?" Annie stood by, her face pale and helpless, struggling to hold back tears. "David, Sarah probably just doesn't like me. I shouldn't have come. I'll go now." Of course, David wouldn't let her leave like that. He blocked her path. "Why are you leaving? She's the one who should go." He spoke, his face livid, and yanked me over. "Sarah, even if you dislike Annie, you should consider the occasion. Apologize to her." It was as if this wouldn't end peacefully unless I apologized. My ears were ringing, and I was so dizzy with anger. I wanted to hit her with a chair, my stomach aching intensely. Before I could even speak, someone suddenly cried out, "David, your wife is bleeding heavily from her leg." It was then that everyone saw my leg was covered in blood. Because I was wearing a red dress, no one had noticed it at first. David froze for a moment. Seeing the blood on my lower leg and on the floor, his mind went blank. "What's going on? Are you not feeling well? Why are you bleeding?" When I heard bleeding, I finally felt the warm sensation on my lower leg. At first, I'd thought it was just soup splashing, and hadn't paid much attention. But at that moment, an unbidden panic seized me, because I suddenly realized my period was a week late. The thought filled me with dread. "Quick, take me to the hospital." Once we reached the hospital, the doctor's words plunged me into despair. "The pregnant woman has severe bleeding leading to a miscarriage and needs immediate surgery," he said, and I fainted. "I have fertility issues/am infertile, making it very difficult to conceive, but David absolutely loves children. For the past year, in an effort to conceive this child, I endured constant injections and medication. My arms were bruised all over, and I drank medicine to the point of nausea, all while facing the repeated disappointment and pain of not getting pregnant. Relatives and friends urged me to give up, but whenever I saw David holding other people's children, his face full of pure delight, I persevered. No matter what, I wanted to have a child of our love with David. Yet, I never imagined that the moment I learned of his arrival would also be the moment I lost him. The doctor was clearly furious. "Can you just pull chairs out from under people like that? People have ended up permanently paralyzed from jokes like this before. You're her husband, don't you understand the seriousness of this?" David clearly hadn't anticipated that his joke would lead to such severe consequences. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were pregnant. I just saw Annie was upset and wanted to cheer her up. You know, she and I grew up together. Everyone was just having some fun. I never thought it would turn out like this." But what did Annie's unhappiness have to do with me? Why did he have to make fun of me to amuse her? And Annie used to pursue him, yet he never mentioned a word of it. I wanted to curse at him, but the pain was so intense I couldn't utter a single word. I was wheeled into the operating room by the doctors. During the surgery, I felt everything stirring inside me, the fetus gradually disappearing. I felt as if my heart, too, was abandoned and slowly torn to pieces. I recalled David pulling me, demanding I apologize to Annie just moments before. Unable to control myself, I replayed every detail of my years with David one by one. It was then I realized that everything had been foreshadowed. David and I had been together for 10 years, married for 5. When we first got together, we were both poor. Our families had very little. Yet he always gave me everything he could, as if making a sacrifice. In high school, we had nothing, but he would secretly fold 1,000 paper stars for me, allowing me 1,000 wishes. When I was bullied, he'd fight others as if his life depended on it. Then with red-rimmed eyes, he'd hold me and say, Sarah, don't worry, I'll never let anyone bully you. When others mocked my worn-out shoes, he would desperately stand by me, protecting my fragile self-esteem. Then he'd ruffle my hair and say, "Girls should always look pretty. Don't worry, I'll give you everything others have." Later, I didn't go to college, and our relationship quickly became long distance. Yet he treated me even better than before, saying that only then could I truly feel his love. I came from a difficult home background. Whenever I felt wronged, even if I didn't say anything, just a phone call to him would let him sense my mood. He'd then lose his appetite, struggle to sleep, and take a train for over 10 hours in the middle of the night to my city. Then he'd tell me, "Your parents favor your sister, but it's okay. From now on, I'll be the one to love you." For all those years, he always prioritized my feelings. His phone was always on for me, 24 hours a day. He'd say, "Loving someone is like nurturing a delicate flower, and I want you to be the most beautiful and vibrant flower in the world." But it seemed that ever since Annie joined his company/office 3 months ago, he started working late and attending client dinners frequently, often not returning my calls. Even at home, he would constantly smile at his phone. Sometimes he'd only come home late at night, and he'd always have an impatient look on his face when he did. Even though we lived together, if I ever went to him feeling upset/in a bad mood, his first reaction wasn't to comfort me, but to show impatience. His concern for others' feelings began to outweigh his concern for mine. Just because Annie was publicly embarrassed and humiliated by a client today, feeling humiliated and unhappy, and asked him if she was terrible, always making a fool of herself in front of them. Unlike Sarah, who was always so dignified/composed, David had to ensure I was publicly humiliated on my birthday in front of everyone. At that moment, I couldn't tell if the surgery hurt more, or the wound David had inflicted on me. After the surgery, David stayed by my hospital bed. I looked at him coldly. "Get out. When I'm discharged, we're getting a divorce." David frowned. "Will you stop making a scene/causing trouble? I'm sad about the baby too, but you want to divorce me over such a small matter." He actually thought I was making a scene/causing trouble, that it was a trivial matter. He hadn't even considered what I had sacrificed for this child. I was so dizzy with rage I couldn't speak a word. I called the police directly. David's face instantly changed. "Sarah, do you have to make things so ugly making a scene/causing trouble like this? Is that what you want?" That moment made me clearly realize that David no longer cared for me that much. It turned out that a person's love or lack thereof could be so evident. The man who once told me that loving someone is like nurturing a delicate flower, now spoke one hurtful word after another, even accusing me and humiliating me in front of so many people. I closed my eyes, trying hard not to lose control. Seeing this, David began to apologize again. "I truly didn't know you were pregnant, Sarah. I know you're hurting, and I'm not doing much better. Don't worry, we can have other children." Do you think children just come easily? I can't understand why someone who once loved me so much can be so reckless when causing pain. Doesn't he know how this child came to be? If you like Annie, then go be with her. Why do you have to hurt me like this? David, as if I had struck a nerve, was almost enraged. "Don't go slandering me/making false accusations. Annie and I have purely platonic/nothing romantic, absolutely no relationship. It was wrong of me to accidentally hurt you, but this is truly our problem, and Annie has nothing to do with it. Annie grew up without parental love. She's pathetic enough as it is. Don't drag her into this, she's innocent." Even at a time like this, he was most afraid of me involving Annie, as if he was terrified I'd harm her in the slightest. But if she grew up without parental love, did I have it? I rarely lost my temper with David, but at that moment, I couldn't help but yell at him. "Get out. When I'm discharged, we're getting a divorce. I won't let you off the hook. We'll see each other in court." Seeing that I was feeling upset/in a bad mood, David eventually left. If he didn't leave and stayed in the room, I hated it. But when he left, I felt both hate and sadness. I lay on the bed, and my tears still fell uncontrollably. The pain of losing the baby, coupled with David's betrayal, made it impossible for me not to feel sad, wronged, upset, and furious. Over the past 10 years, David and I had experienced so much. That naive, innocent, and pure love from our school days, long distance during college. Despite the vast distance, we worked tirelessly to bridge it, determined to be together no matter the obstacles. Because we always put each other's feelings first. Even when thousands of miles apart, I never felt any distance from him. If I was feeling upset/in a bad mood, he would always be there for me immediately. During our 4 years in college, we documented countless trips. When we first started our business, neither of us had any money, but he would decorate our modest rental to be warm and beautiful, use cheap LED lights to create a magical fort for me. Then he'd tell me that one day we'd live in a beautiful house and have a happy home. And now, even though we were so close, I felt we were miles and miles apart. Even though I still loved him so much, and we had everything now, I couldn't feel his love anymore. Because he didn't love me, he could ignore my feelings and pain. I don't know when I fell asleep. When I woke up, David was by my hospital bed, looking down and texting someone. I glanced at his phone, and immediately saw that the person on the other end was Annie. I vaguely saw him text the word baby. And those 2 words pierced my heart deeply. I didn't know what the other person said, but just as David was about to reply, he sensed something and immediately looked my way. As our eyes met, he almost instinctively put his phone away. You're awake. I'll go call the doctor. Who were you texting? Annie. No one. David frowned. Before I could say anything, he started accusing me. Can you stop dragging Annie into everything? He had killed our baby for Annie, yet I couldn't even mention her name. If you care so much about her, then go be with her. I'm not letting this go. But I quickly lost my composure, because I soon learned that while I was asleep, David, to prevent me from making a big scene/causing trouble, had actually told the police I'd accidentally fallen. He had also contacted my parents and had them issue a waiver/a statement of non-prosecution. My parents even called to scold me, calling me ungrateful/saying I didn't know what was good for me, telling me to calm down and stop making a scene/causing trouble with David. My chest ached with anger. For the next few days, I largely ignored David, simply telling him to leave. But David remained in the hospital room. If it weren't for him constantly glancing at his phone, and occasionally stepping out to take calls behind my back, I might have even had the illusion that he hadn't changed his heart. But I knew it was nothing more than an illusion. Every time I saw him looking down at his phone, texting, or stepping out to make a call, I'd guess who was on the other end of the phone. Though I tried hard to stop myself from overthinking, my heart wouldn't listen. Eventually, I couldn't resist looking at his phone. Seeing their text messages and social media feeds, I finally understood that all those days he didn't answer my calls, he was with Annie. He said he was working late, but in reality he was having candlelit dinners with Annie. He claimed he was on a business trip, but he was actually traveling with Annie. For her, he even learned to understand makeup, gave her romantic birthday surprises, and on his birthday, things got out of hand. I stared at the word baby on his phone, my emotions refusing to settle. She's baby, but what about me? What am I to him? I don't know how I processed all of it. I only knew I had to get a divorce. But I hadn't expected that before I could officially propose a divorce to him, I would see David and Annie standing very close to each other right outside my hospital room. Just as I was about to approach, I heard Annie ask, "Is Sarah still blaming you for everything and refusing to talk to you at all?" I stood around the corner, my steps suddenly halting, and heard David reply, "She's still angry, a bit irrational. Don't worry about it." Annie stood there, fragile and a little wronged, pulling David's hand. "When she threw things that day, she cut you here, a long gash, and you haven't even treated it." I didn't mind it, but I heard she even called the police. Are you just going to let her keep making a scene/causing trouble? And on your birthday too, she's supposed to be your wife. Yet in front of so many people, she showed no regard for your reputation. She's always been like this, Annie was on the verge of tears. David looked at her slender, pale hand, and after a long moment, withdrew his own. "Unlike you, she's not so considerate, always thinking of others." I was almost laughing with rage. What a perfectly considerate pair of scumbags. Annie's afraid of being humiliated, isn't she? Then I'll make sure she gets plenty of it. Just as Annie was about to speak, I lunged forward, grabbed her hair, and slapped her hard across the face. Then I pulled off my shoe and shoved it forcefully into her mouth. "Oh, you're so considerate, are you? So considerate you're trying to worm your way into my husband's life, huh?" They clearly hadn't expected me to come over. Annie's face instantly paled. As soon as David saw Annie being harmed, he immediately tried to pull me away. "What are you doing?" I gripped Annie's hair tightly, refusing to let go, forcing her face towards the onlookers, and shouted to everyone around. "Everyone, come see this despicable pair. They caused his wife to miscarry and are now flirting right outside my hospital room, claiming I'm an inconsiderate/unsympathetic wife. The patients hospitalized here were either pregnant, giving birth, or had suffered miscarriages. Women in marriages despise nothing more than a cheating husband and a mistress/the other woman." People immediately gathered around, some pulling out their phones/cell phones to record. David panicked. Sarah, do you have any idea what you're doing? I told you, she and I have absolutely no relationship. Annie struggled, and I slapped her hard again. No relationship? Then what's she doing here accusing me? You caused my miscarriage, and she's here telling you I don't understand you. Then I looked at Annie again, forcefully shoving the shoe I had just taken off, which had been in the restroom, back into her mouth. Annie was on the verge of vomiting from my actions. I lifted her face towards the camera. You're so considerate. You must understand why I'm treating you this way, right? Come on, don't hide your face. Let everyone see what kind of trash a modern mistress/the other woman is. My husband caused my miscarriage, and still calls me inconsiderate/unsympathetic. Is it like, if you two sleep together, I should even cover you with a blanket so you don't catch a cold, to be a good wife? David, of course, couldn't stand Annie being treated like this. His face was livid, and he moved to pull me away. Sarah, can you please stop making a scene/causing trouble? At that moment, all I wanted to do was slap him across the face. But before he could reach me, someone nearby blocked him. Someone said, your wife lost her baby, and this shameless mistress/the other woman comes to your wife's hospital room? How despicable. Your own wife lost her child, and you're still protecting an outsider. Everyone, get your phones/cell phones out and record this. Let everyone get a good look at this scandalous pair. Annie's face immediately turned white. I managed to pull out a clump of her hair. Then David shielded her forcefully and dragged her away. I remained rooted to the spot, watching David's retreating back, making no move to stop him. The video of me slapping Annie and forcing a dirty shoe into her mouth at the hospital quickly went viral online/trended on social media, sparking outrage among netizens. This woman is shameless. She actually went to someone else's wife's hospital room, and then she calls the wife inconsiderate/unsympathetic? Like hell she's considerate. It's a miracle she didn't kill you. Let's see if she's still too ashamed to show her face after this. And this guy is still defending this despicable mistress? Seriously, your wife was pregnant, and you say she's making a scene/causing trouble? I hate despicable men and women who have no boundaries. Oh, I didn't cheat, I just considered her a friend. Your wife had a miscarriage, right? Are you serious? And this despicable woman, coming to someone's hospital room trying to stir up trouble in our marriage. What are you feigning innocence for? I looked at these videos and immediately posted them in the group chat where both he and Annie were present. When David found out, his face turned ashen and he called me. Sarah, take it down immediately. I won't. Are you trying to drive her to her death? Sarah, she's not like you. You have everything now. Even when you're sad or disappointed, you have a whole bunch of people to comfort you. It took her so much effort to get to where she is today. Are you trying to completely ruin her and make it so we can't go on either? It was laughable. He actually thought I would continue living with him. And what was the difference between my past and hers? If she had it hard, didn't I? My parents never considered my feelings. My brother was always their priority. Growing up, I did all the chores. Asking them for school money was like pulling teeth, but they'd effortlessly find money for my brother's clothes and toys. If my brother and I fought, I'd be the first one slapped and reprimanded. Didn't he know better than anyone how I achieved what I have today, through our shared efforts? Why should someone else's suffering be forced upon me? I directly handed him a copy of the divorce papers/divorce agreement. As soon as David saw the divorce papers/divorce agreement, his face changed. I won't divorce you. We've been together for over 10 years. I worked so hard for you for this home. You want to divorce me over such a small matter? I find it absurd. But I knew he wasn't refusing to divorce me because he still loved me. It was because the sunk cost of our years together was too great. Plus, he and Annie hadn't fully committed to each other yet, and his feelings for me hadn't completely vanished. I had also been taking care of his mother during her illness. He needed someone like me. I looked at him and sneered. For me, you didn't answer my calls? For me, you pulled my chair out from under me on my birthday, causing my miscarriage? And you still have the nerve to accuse me, and even rallied with Annie to denounce me right outside my hospital room while I was miscarrying? Do you know how I felt that day, when you shielded her and walked away? And stop being disgusting to me. Losing the baby might be a small matter to you, but it's not to me. Since you think these are small matters, how about I find someone to greet you too? I immediately found a sophomore student, and went with them to David's company/office. David's company/office was still named after both of us. When the company/office was founded, he even made sure our shares were identical, just to make me feel secure. The deeper the love back then, the crueler the hurt now. When I arrived, Annie was conveniently in David's office. David was comforting her. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault. Everyone at the company/office knows what kind of person you are. She still hadn't left. I pushed open the office door and sneered. Indeed, there's nothing to worry about, as long as you're thick-skinned and despicable enough. Annie saw me and instinctively hid behind David, her eyes instantly reddening. Sarah, you've misunderstood me. David, shielding her, coldly admonished. Sarah? Although I had already decided to divorce David, seeing that instinctive action still stung my eyes. But then he saw Leo standing behind me. David instantly stood up. Who is he? What do you mean by bringing him here? Didn't you say I wasn't considerate of you? I sneered. So I found someone to be considerate of you, didn't I? David's face was livid. Whether from anger or something else, I couldn't tell. Do you really have to be like this? People in the company/office quickly started looking our way. I used to work at the company/office, but during David's mother's hospitalization, it was revealed that his mother was secretly abused by her caregiver, so I temporarily gave up my job. If it wasn't to care for his mother, why would I have left the company/office? I said with a smile. This has nothing to do with Leo. I just hired him to do something for me. He's pathetic enough as it is. Can you stop dragging him into everything? After saying that, I ignored him and led Leo directly back to my office. But when the same thing happened to him, he couldn't stand it. David grabbed Leo, about to get violent. I slapped him across the face. Can you stop making a scene/causing trouble? We're at the company/office. Do you have to make things so awkward and embarrass everyone? Annie went over to check his face, then looked at me, suppressing her anger. Sarah, you're truly going too far. After all these years, David has loved you so much and been so good to you. Is this how you treat him? And you? You claim you're not a mistress/the other woman. But even after I humiliated you like that, you're still here playing the victim/feigning innocence. What kind of despicable person are you? As soon as David saw me lay hands on Annie, he pulled me aside and asked, What exactly do you want? I looked at him coldly. A divorce. I want half of the company/office's shares. Impossible. Then we'll see about that. In the days that followed, I took Leo with me everywhere. What was even more ridiculous was that before this, David had always been busy, either on business trips, working overtime, or attending gatherings. A man who didn't even have time to answer my calls suddenly had plenty of time to follow me around after I brought Leo to the company/office. And he started caring about my every move. On his birthday, when Leo and I almost kissed at the company/office, David, whether from anger or pain, nearly resorted to violence. Leo looked at me wronged. I'm hurting. I looked at David, whose injuries were more severe, and accused him. Leo and I are purely platonic. Leo was feeling down, and I just wanted to cheer him up and comfort him. It's your birthday, do you really need to be so serious about it? David's eyes were red-rimmed, as if he was in extreme pain. Don't be like this. Nothing ever happened between Annie and me. I didn't wrong you. Can we just get back together and make things right? I smiled, then threw all the chat logs I had printed of him and Annie onto the table in front of him. What you mean by nothing happened? Does that mean you didn't fall for her? Or you just didn't go all the way? David's face turned completely white as he looked at the chat logs in front of him. But I wasn't going to let him off the hook so easily. What are you sad about now? This is just the beginning. You haven't even experienced the pain of trying to conceive, being pregnant, and miscarrying. It's only been a few days, and you can't take it. Yet you expect me to understand you? Don't you find that ridiculous? David finally couldn't bear it, and agreed to the divorce. Sure enough, no matter what, only when it happens to you do you truly understand empathy and unbearable pain. But even when he agreed to the divorce, I witnessed his shamelessness. If we divorce, you leave with nothing/walk away empty-handed. It was then I learned that when a man truly drops his pretense and discusses divorce and assets, no matter how much pain or love he feigns, he becomes distorted and unrecognizable/completely changed. I won't leave with nothing/walk away empty-handed. And regarding you causing my miscarriage, I've already filed an appeal. I'm suing you for assault and battery. Do you think I'll just let it go because you had my parents sign a waiver/a statement of non-prosecution? As for the divorce, I'll file directly. This company/office already has my shares. I looked at him and Annie. No matter where she goes, I'll have someone follow her and make sure everyone knows what kind of person she truly is. After saying that, I plastered his and Annie's chat logs all over the company/office. I also uploaded them online, and conveniently sent a copy to his mother at the hospital. David was seething. "You're making a scene / causing trouble everywhere, piling fabricated accusations on me. You just want to break up this home for money, don't you?" He ignored my feelings, relentlessly protected Annie, and pushed me to this point. Yet he attributed all the blame to me, saying I wanted to break up this home, saying I was just after his money. He twisted the narrative, turning me, the injured party seeking divorce, into the unreasonable one making a scene / causing trouble. I knew he was trying to manipulate me into not discussing money, forcing me try to be tough. "Yes, I love money. Since you don't care about money so much, just give it to me then." With that, I took Leo and walked directly out of the office. I officially got divorced. During the divorce, he gave me half of the assets. I sued to recover everything he had given Annie, as these were our joint marital assets. David didn't make a scene trouble about this. He was just held a grudge. David was silent for a long time. He said he was sorry, that he had never intended anything serious with Annie. At first, I just felt sorry for her, like she was a fragile porcelain doll who constantly needed someone to be with her and protect her. She was like the old you, making me constantly worried about her / preoccupied with her, unlike you who have always been strong and decisive, seemingly unshakable. When he realized he was paying too much attention to Annie, he actually tried to control it. That's why he took me on a trip, wanting to remind himself that I was the one he loved, and that he should completely cut ties with Annie. But on Annie's birthday, after they had some drinks, they almost slept together. From that day on, he was like an addiction / like a craving, constantly worried I'd discover them. Yet unable to resist her pull, she always looked at him with pitiful eyes, as if he were her entire world. It made him feel indispensable, giving her a tenderness she'd never experienced. Unlike me, who would never let myself be wronged, always strong and equally matched. On my birthday, he didn't know why he chose to side with Annie. It was as if he were bewitched, completely blind to my pain. "Sarah, I don't really want to fight you for the assets. I just don't want a divorce. I'm afraid of divorce. I truly, truly love you. Does our relationship of so many years really have to end like this?" I found it laughable. He couldn't let go of me, so he hurt me instead. "The moment you pulled my chair out for her, the moment our baby was gone, that's when we lost all possibility." He smiled bitterly, still somewhat unwilling to accept it. "You always seem so calm that it feels like you could abandon me at any time, as if you've never cared about me." I wasn't calm at all. At the hospital, I cried again and again throughout the night. It's just that he cared about Annie and couldn't see my tears and pain. He probably forgot that I used to be a very gentle person. It wasn't until our business failed, and he was insulted, and I stood in front of him to protect him, that I slowly became strong and brave. For him, I poured out my heart and soul, giving everything I had. And he probably didn't even realize that even at the point of divorce, he was still trying to shift the blame to me, thinking that my personality issues caused the current situation. After losing everything in a decade-long love, how could I possibly let him walk away unscathed? "David, do you have any idea how disgusting you truly are? You say she's like the old me, but why did I change from that gentle person to who I am now? It's because when you were in debt and got beaten, I stood in front of you. When your business deals failed, I was the one who rushed forward. I valued you more than my own life. But what about you? When I was miscarrying, you stood in front of Annie. I completely moved out of our home. This city held too many painful memories. So the moment I received the divorce certificate, I sold all my shares to his rival company. Then I blocked all his numbers and moved to another city. Although I didn't actively seek information about David, but after 10 years together, we shared many friends, and through them, I learned he was looking for me. He even orchestrated an accidental encounter with me, but at that time, Leo was standing right beside me. Leo had recently been pursuing me. However, after what I'd been through with David, I had learned to take a more detached view of love and forever, and to cut my losses when necessary. But I wasn't going to reject love entirely. I heard news of David again, the news of his marriage to Annie. But not long after, I heard that they weren't doing well. Because the videos and chat logs were uploaded online, Annie was pointed at and whispered about wherever she went, causing David to lose a lot of face. Eventually, he simply stopped taking her out. Annie was extremely fragile mentally. At first, David would comfort and appease her, but after a while, combined with his business struggles, he grew impatient and frequently compared her to me. He also felt that she only played the victim innocence and couldn't help him with his career at all. Their conflicts gradually escalated. David started avoiding going home, constantly checking my and Leo's social media feeds, and his phone and computer were filled with our photos. Even the house they lived in was full of memories David and I had built together, making Annie feel extremely insecure. More than once she called me. "Stop harassing David." I remembered hearing that he had come here looking for me just the day before yesterday. I laughed and said, "He was in my bed the day before yesterday actually. How does it feel, watching your husband with someone else?" After saying that, I hung up the phone. Annie lost control on the spot, and almost got into a fight with David. Later, Annie became pregnant. If David came home even a little late, she would become suspicious, constantly calling him. One time, David drank too much and met someone who looked exactly like me at a bar. He mistook her for me, they almost slept together, and they were caught. Annie tried to hit the woman, but David shielded that woman and accidentally pushed her down the stairs. Annie not only lost the baby, but also injured her body and can never get pregnant again. This caused Annie to completely break down mentally. When she discovered David was still in contact with that girl again, she unleashed crazy revenge on him. She caused a scene at David's parents' house, smashed everything in the house. Then one night while he was asleep, she risked going to jail and used scissors to inflict a severe injury, rendering him incapable of being a normal man.